Getting some overtures to return. I've been wanting to hear that for some time, and hopefully again, if I'm able to come to one of the universities or colleges here, that you'll come out and attend those lectures if you would. Is Sete One, the brother in the yellow shirt, brother Sete One, when you came up earlier and you told me who you were, it still wasn't registering. When I met you by phone, you were in California, I think you had a different name. You don't have to go back to the slave name. I carry mine for certain reasons, okay? But I want to thank you very much because I understand it was your bringing that message here to Brother Calloway, and later on as they contacted Uma and Amiola, that were reasons for me getting here. So I respect that very much. I appreciate your interest. And there was another brother who contacted me very recently from California. I can't think of his name because I was in the office and the secretary took the message again. But they're also now interested, and he said it was a direct result of you. So now that I specifically place where you are, I thank you very much, okay? The sister also understands from California is very instrumental, so thank both of you, and I hope that God can create a prosperous your beginnings and also your undertakings. As we are going to get into the second part of tonight's presentation, this will not be very long, and if we have to speed it up near the end, the big message will have been given. And if we want to come together for questions and comments or so, I understand there's another room, and until my voice gives out, I'll try to answer and interact with them. If you weren't able to buy tapes and you wanted, there are many, many more tapes that we have in Chicago, and the black media will be handling some of my tapes also. You'll be able to get them there. So again, you can either contact us there. If you're ever through the Chicago area, please do find out when we're having some of the lectures or weekly or monthly presentations. And again, as I say, we also deal with a lot of vitamins, health products, again, for what we call the new age, including some other things too, which I won't get into now. Let me say also to you that there are many health products that can help you with your kind of immune system, meaning that it contains melanin to overcome a number of things that they say are going to decimate and wipe you out. It won't stop bullets and guns and knives, but many of the viral diseases, with your immunity, once it is enhanced, you can get by. They know this too, and this is why they give you the wrong products. I state that to you. There's a lecture I give called, from the book Murder by Injections, again, which would make you run for most of these vaccinations and things that they're going to give your kids. If you kept the kids out of school, it would be better than to send them for what they're going to put in their arm, because why educate the mind and lose the body? So again, I state you have to think now. In the second part tonight, I want to kind of talk with you about where we are now with this pact having been signed and so on and so forth. The booklet of prophecies states all of the different things, or some of the different things, that will be happening to our planet. It also states what will be happening to the Midwest. The end result will be that most of the area west of the Rocky Mountains will not be there. Now, I don't know whether you have friends and relatives. Some of you just came from California. Maybe you'd like to stay a while. I can only say again that the Midwest will also, unfortunately, kept its uppins too. For the Great Lakes are supposed to overflow through Lake Michigan, and in Chicago I'm already making my little piece and making friends around the world and so on and so forth again. And supposedly cut its way down to the Gulf of Mexico. The flooding of the Mississippi will then suddenly, in the next year or so, cease to flood, and people say, oh, things are beautiful, and then we get the damnation of Baffin Bay from Canada and the St. Lawrence Seaways teaming up, and with that kind of water plus the Great Lakes, nothing can stop that kind of devastation. The United States has heavy karma to pay. The United States has been the backbone of some of the most insidious undertakings on the planet, and at a time when the people there, as they call themselves the founding fathers, they were not, but the people that came there should have known better. They came from Newgate and Marshalsea prison, debtors' encampments, mercenaries, zealots, purists. They should have known better. And even when their great father in England, the Britonners and so on and so forth, did what they're supposed to do, because half of them have alien blood. But even so, they could have done better. And they haven't. Not only that, but they have been behind the scenes of most of the undertakings of espionage and covert action throughout the world. So When Mother America pays, then these are the final days. That's why America has been spared, and still, in the main, she will not save her ways. She will not change her ways. We are presently faced with a dilemma on this planet, of which at one time we could have changed. Now I don't know what we can do about it, but simply try to evacuate or to follow the path of least resistance. The earth has a layer of oxygen around it. Oxygen is what causes all things on this planet to live and breathe and prosper. That is biological species, we would say. When oxygen is either hit by electricity or receives long and short ultraviolet waves from our sun, it changes into what is simply called ozone. Ozone, being a heavier particle layer, is usually beneath the oxygen layer. Oxygen is O1. Now, I know some of you in physics and physical chemistry say, hey, now we've heard it as O2. Basic oxygen is O1. Oxygen with ultraviolet effect becomes O2. Ultraviolet long rays changes it to O3, and the result of both the oxygen and the hydrogen then changes to what they call H2O2, or hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide, therefore, is one of the things that you can utilize now to speed up your heating, to speed up the oxygenating of all of the cells in your body. Every cell in your body must receive oxygen in order to operate efficiently. To the degree of the amount of oxygen that it's exposed to, the better it works. Now let me explain something else before you rush out and buy all the hydrogen peroxide you can find. When you go to the drugstores and get hydrogen peroxide, it is 3% hydrogen peroxide. It is not food grade. You're not supposed to take it internally. If you do, deadly gastronomic things can happen, the least of it being bleeding and ulcerations of the stomach lining and any other trachea and so on and so forth. If you swallow some of it, you note the burning sensation. It's good, again, for bleaching. It's good for parasites and stings, but not for internal. There is something called a food grade 35% hydrogen peroxide that you can use internally, and usually it's watered down with aloe vera and things along this line. Okay? That, taken as you introduce it more and more into your body, will speed up the metabolism of the body's cells, cause the cells to heal faster. But as cells heal faster, they also eliminate. It is a byproduct of any cell metabolism to ingest and to secrete, even down to the cell governor, the protoplasmic brain of the cell. They all do the same things. So if you're going to take this, my suggestion is to take in some kind of catalytic agent, something, again, that can hunt out the free radicals that will therefore be released and keep your body, the toxins, in balance. So you excrete them, secrete them, sweat them out, you get rid of the poisons and toxins. One of the best things I know of is what is called Cell Guard. Okay? When it's sold to physicians and so, it is called antioxidant enzyme complex. In your health food stores, it's called Cell Guard. Now, if you can get them here in the health food stores, great. If you want to get them from us, we handle them also. Any product we have here, we have for sale because we research it and we utilize it, and we buy in mass volumes there in Chicago at the themetacenter. So it's called Cell Guard. I suggest if you take in any kind of hydrogen peroxide therapy, that you take in something that can also get rid of those free radicals. Let me explain that a little bit too. People say, again, I'm going to share with you a lot today, and I hope you get your money's worth plus. The cell produces what they call, let's just start with the basis. Every cell has these little 2 electrons spinning around it that stabilizes it, okay? It's what they call a molecular structure. When one of those little electrons becomes imbalanced, the cell itself, or the molecule itself, or the atom itself, becomes imbalanced. When it becomes imbalanced, it seeks to save itself because it can feel that it's going to be killed, it's going to die, like any other thing it wants to live. So it begins to try and attach to another cell or molecule or atomic structure within your body that is stable and linked to it. When it first breaks loose, it is called a free radical. Production of free radicals is necessary when a cell operates, because when a cell does what it's going to do, it has to get rid of its toxins and poisons. So it's a natural process. This free radical, when it can get with a cell that it can link to or try to link to that extra electron which that cell has, which it has now lost, then calls for others to come forward. And pretty soon you get a clumping action. That clumping action is called free radical metastasis. It simply means that these things interlink. And that's where your tumors start, that's where your cancer clusters, and even where AIDS viruses can generate on that clumping action. So, these kind of products there send out these free radical scavengers or antioxidant enzymes and enzymatically break up those clusters, have your natural body immune system, your antigens, your antibodies, your leukocytes, your macrophages on down the line, escort them on out of the body or disintegrate them on the spot. Then it's what you call a strong immune system. So these are not only immune system enhancers, they're oxygenators for the entire body. There's another product that is called stabilized oxygen. Now don't get these confused with the other two. They have nothing to do with them other than the fact that they're oxygen enhancers. Stabilized oxygen, I like to call 007 the killer. It's called 07. Okay? Stabilized oxygen means that it is stable. It is not radical. It is not full of fermentations. It's not full of additives. It does not burn or anything else. It can be added to the water supply and it kills off the deadly bacteria that harm you. How can one little thing like this kill off all of those deadly bacteria? Nature is very beautiful. Nature is oversimplistic. Man is very radical and, again, complex. Nature has nothing to hide because he can't comprehend half of what he has already. Man has everything to hide because he has little. Consequently, nature works simplistically. There are two basic kinds of bacteria. No biologist, entomologist, I'm not crazy yet. Let me finish. All right? Two basic ones. One is aerobic. How many take aerobic exercises and get all that oxygen in and get up the blood match up? Nobody does take aerobic? Well, all right. Well, whatever. Well, okay, how many run and hunt and sink and swim and do the martial arts and all the rest of it? Okay. Now, when you do that, you breathe faster. You put more oxygen into the blood, right? When you put more oxygen into the blood, the cells work better. Okay? Now, stabilized oxygen is stable. It works like it's supposed to work because it has no other chemicals or anything added to it again. What happens with this is nature has produced what is called aerobic bacteria, aerobic. They take in air. They are the friendly ones, what is called the friendly microorganisms. They have what they call anaerobic. Anaerobic bacteria don't want oxygen. They don't even want light. They want to be left alone and feed off of everything else like vampires in your body. Okay? Those are anaerobic. A real key that I don't share with a lot of people. I guess I'm doing it tonight because, today because the response here has been good and I'm very happy to do so. Aerobic bacteria have a left-handed spin. They actually spin to the left. They vibrate to the left. Aerobic bacteria have a right spin. They actually spin to the right centrifugal, and they seem to have a right-handed spin. They also, again, take in more oxygen. Here, they don't want oxygen. So when you put in a huge oxygenator into the system, they die or become still and pretty soon dry out if they are anaerobic. I'm oversimplifying, but I'm trying to make you understand. If they're aerobic and you put it in there, it builds up the kind of friendly bacteria you want. You say, well, what kind of friendly bacteria do I want? Your whole lumen, the colon, the intestines, is lined with bacteria. Literally decillions, nonillions of bacteria. The more you have the friendly aerobic ones, the more the feces and so breaks up, the more you don't get plaque lining, the more you don't get the disease and worms and all these kind of things that breed, even if you have trachoma, they don't breed well in a friendly atmosphere. They're called Acidophilus, Lactobacillus, Bulgaris, and many other names. The putrefactive ones are what gives you your problem of where they breed diseases and they spread from the lumen into the intestines and into the bloodstream and so on and so forth. So these things kill off and help to kill off if you constantly take it, those kind of things. In addition to which, you can take this and add this to your water and it kills the bacteria in the water. Now, I'm not naive. It's not going to take away the chlorine, bromocardothane, all the rest of the thing, mercury, that are in the water supplies. It won't bother the chemicals. It kills the bacteria that may breed with these chemicals and in the water supply. Simply by putting, say, 5 or 6 drops to a 6-ounce water, waiting about 3 minutes, shake it up and drink the water, all those kind of bacteria are dead. You take your vegetables and things, you want to rinse them off. Some people use vinegar, but it somewhat cooks the leaf. Use this. Takes care of all of those bacteria, the ones that you don't want. Takes care of milk. You put this into milk, instead of milk spoiling again, if you're going to drink it, and that's a long story too, but if you're going to use the cow's milk, you put that in there and it won't spoil, and it kills off some of the bacteria in there that cause constipation. And since black people don't secrete enough lactin to take care of the laxidosis again, it will take care of that problem for you too, because those are all bacteria that breed that. Put it into anything, juices, the juices last 30 days. You don't have to refrigerate them. Just that simple, because what causes that fermentation are nature's scavengers, and again, those bacteria that come in there to take care of it when it loses its enzyme. If it doesn't lose its enzyme, nothing happens. This keeps the active enzymes in it. So, you carry it around with you when you travel. I do. Treat the water, go in and drink it, and that's it. All right? Simply again, they have products now in this new age for everything. The point is, you're not told about them. Why? Because as melanin carriers, if you ever really got healthy in mind and body, you'd become a threat and a problem. And that's how I want to end this session tonight. The melanin carriers that I referred to, from Sethantis on in the underworld to the black people that generated on the earth and were given melanin so that they could live on the surface and not become contaminated, not become cathartic, sun affected, can't think straight, not because, you know again what radiation can do. Radiation can mutate anything. If you tan, it means that the energy from the sun, including the ultraviolet and actinic rays, can be utilized. They don't just burn where you get your carcinomas on the skin, or whether they go inside and get your melanomas inside in the internal organs, secretion, and so. They simply take that and spread it out over the body and take the energy from it and speed up your cell development. So when you're exposed to radiation fields and you can tan, you speed up your thinking ability. You speed up your health process. Things speed up for you. And you become a mutation, but a nice mutation. I mean by that, most of us are mutated or we'd be dead, considering what we're exposed to. That's a whole lecture on itself too. Electronic diseases, genealogicals, it goes on and on. So we are already mutants. But now we're understanding that mutation may not be bad because the planet is changing. And you have to change as an organism on the planet, a friendly organism. As the planet changes, you have to adapt and change. It is the unfriendly ones who are stayed and sure that they're going to stop progress of this planet, that are fighting to retard its progress and trying to do everything they can to kill off its natural species, that the problem comes with. Not those that adapt, but those that refuse to adapt and would rather change the planet than change their own ways. In some cases they can't, so they're fighting for life. And they're about the business of deadly existence, where we are playing. Interferon is taken generally a conversion of melatonin, which is a process of secretion of melanin from the pineal gland. Interferon A, interferon B, it goes on down the line. I don't have time to go into a whole lecture on AIDS. You've probably sat through a number of them again, but I think I can take some twists from that you may not have heard of. That may be another lecture we can go. But even with Kimron and Immunex that they're using for AIDS, it's still a derivative in the basically of either interferon or plant secretions, herbals again from Africa and other continents that have had a long history of taking care of radiation, that give off certain things which cause the immune system, the pineal pituitary complex, and the thymus gland to work better. Okay, that's all it is, a process of making those things work better. But when you have melanin and it's being produced in a very good form, then you can pretty much throw off anything that comes to the planet, provided you are internally strong. Now the mind links with that, and again, I'm not naive. You may say that's impossible. It's not impossible, because the Creator would not make a life form to exist on a surface that it could not perpetuate. It is again those who cannot manufacture the kind of interferon you can, whose pineal gland is almost atrophied, and they're trying to make yours atrophied now, who have to either live off of your interferon or artificially produce it in laboratories, that the problem comes with. They're the ones that receive radiation poisoning. They're the ones right now that the planet is selectively trying to eliminate. They're fighting for life. That's why I say with them it is not a game. As the ozone layer gets bigger, it means that the oxygen of Earth is being converted into ozone. That means also that the distant cosmic rays And the uncalibrated rays from the sun, what these scientists can't do anything about, really don't know about, other than the fact it goes through every kind of barrier they put up, can then come into Earth, and it selectively begins to cause diseases and viruses and radioactive poisoning to those who cannot adapt to it. It is a house cleansing. Please understand me. It's a planetary clearing.
Come on.
When this happens, then those whole islands and continents of people that no longer will vibrate correctly, genetically will become sterile. One generation cannot reproduce themselves, and therefore they be wiped out. Other than that, they become diseases, cancerous type things, leukemic, and so on and so forth, melanomic, and they simply go out by the way of plagues. Since they are intelligent and already now have alien scavengers working with them, they said, we need help. And the aliens said, well, first of all, you've got to stop that planet from completing that cycle. And you've got to take care of all those that the cycle is being conditioned for, because they will outlive you. So use them as a cattle and feed off of them like we've been feeding off of you. Do you get the picture? That's a problem, folks. It means just as the Lone Ranger is coming to town, the bad guys are about to wipe them out. So it either means that the planetary cleansing has got to be speeded up, or the people have got to perish in the physical body and live in the spirit body. Well, many of you who are deeply into religion won't mind that, because if you die in the faith, you're going to see God anyway, so you don't mind dying, right? What are you laughing about? Isn't that your belief? Isn't it? If you're good, you're going to go to heaven, you see God. So why not die? That's too strong a way to put it. You're not bad, so you're not going to the hell and see the devil. You're good, so you're going to go to heaven and see God. Why not die? And you've got any problem with dying, going to see God? All right. So you're prepared for death then, right? Now, for those of you who want to live past that, you have to take some actions on your own. Okay? There's a joke that I hear it again sometime where the guy, you probably heard it, the rooftop joke. It's a big flood. The guy's on the rooftop, you know, and he's saying, no, he's in the house right there. They say, hey, it's a flood coming. And he says, that's okay. I believe in God. God will save me. So again, the flood comes up. It rises up to the window. He climbs out the second-story window. Boat comes along, and the guy says again, flood coming. He says, that's all right. I believe in God. God will save me. Flood comes up a little bit higher. The guy gets on the rooftop. Helicopter comes over to broadcast down. We're kind of scared to be over here, buddy. Again, grab hold of the rope. We'll pull you up. No, I believe in God. God will save me. The water comes over. Bloop, 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 bloop. He downs. He wakes up. He sees Gabriel. He says, St. Peter and Gabriel again, I believed in you, and you let me down. Doggone it. I asked that I be saved in the name of the Lord. He said, what the heck, man? We sent you a boat. We sent you a helicopter. We sent you a water ship to save yourself. Go to hell. You got to do something for self, folks. You must take actions for self. You can't talk about them. You can't argue about them. You make movements, either away from these places that you know are going to be afflicted because you believe in it, or stay and see what happens, or get you a summer home in some other place again and stay and see what happens. Convert your own body into the best oxygenating source that you can, and do a lot of meditating and praying to keep in tune with what may be happening. And again, you must come together. If you can't come together, then you must act individually. Collectively, there's no more time to worry about, can I trust my brother in this and that? You must trust somebody. If you can work without your brother and sister, great. If you can do it on your own, great. If not, then collectively you're going to have to come together to help each other. If you want the right kind of products, you're going to have to get the right kind of products. If you want to escape from a situation, you're going to have to start getting out of town before they close off the corridors. If you see what's happening on the horizon in acts of nature, and you see where it's not happening, you have to act to go where it's not happening and leave where it is happening. Those calls for major decisions. And the only thing I can say is, if you need signs of the time, you'll see it with the economic collapse that's just around the corner. You'll see it with the new money that's being printed. You'll see it with the paper dollar now that's coming out, the salmon colored with the magnetic strip on it. And when they, at the end of this year or the first of next year, that's the third quarter, the fiscal end of the year, November, or the first of '94, they will ask for your money to be turned in. They will then replace it with a new money and a new currency. It's a whole different lecture. The banks will issue, first of all, 1 for 1, because they want to find out who's got the money stored, and because they know that the money's out of circulation, the paper money. They already have the new economic order and computers that can keep care of the money, because the computers now calibrate the money, and the money even, it won't incinerate itself, it begins to shrivel up after a certain usage, so you won't be able to keep it over 2-3 years once they give it to you again. It's all planned because this is technology far beyond your wildest dream. Later on, it'll be just a universal card because they don't want money anyway, because money is what got them in trouble when people hoarded it. Now they want you to be able to be accepted, and if you don't have a card, you can't buy, so die. Okay? So I'm saying, I'm not doing this, but as you see these signs happening, you will know that something reaching a crisis is about on the horizon. How many days, how many years? Not over 7 at the most. Now, with that in mind, you will see what happens when minds become so unspiritual that the planet gets tired of it. As they increase this diabolical plan, you will see more earthquakes. You will see more tornadoes in places, this is why I say in diverse places, where they never were before. You will see droughts and famines. You will see deserts becoming muddy and full of water. You will see streams drying up. You will see species of birds and insects disappearing, and the things that they used to control attacking populated centers. You will see all kinds of viruses and plagues, and the worst thing you can do is to panic, because underneath that you're expected to keep your peace, keep your cool, and stay spiritual. Now, that's going to take a lot. If you don't, you set off the same vibrations as that is trying to be cleansed, and you suffer the same fate. Come on. Now, as this is also happening, there will be signs in the sky. There's one symbol that will be for 6 or 7 months when the total calamities start, and that will be the crescent and the star. And it doesn't make me a follower of either Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Farad Muhammad, Honorable Elijah Farrakhan, or Minister Muslim. Muslim is a Muslim nation in America. It doesn't make me any of that. It makes me a spiritual brother of earth. One of the original spiritual brothers of earth. Again. Okay? I don't care what the religious sects have to name it. My spirit runs high, and I'm a devout spiritual person of earth. When such people come together, religious titles don't mean a thing. You will also find, unfortunately, that skin color may not mean a thing, because if a person has melanin enough and had to have color, they have some spiritual hope. Okay? Those who are devoid of spirituality yet have melanin, because they have accepted the ways, some say the devil, I will not say that, I will say of a lower vibratory creature, then they also as much Judases as the so-called white person is a Judas, per se. Don't be deceived by the color of the skin. Get into the spiritual quality of the soul. See it in the eyes, feel it in the vibration, and begin to bring out that psychic part of you to let you know who to trust and when you hear truth and when you don't. If you cannot do that, then trust your newspapers and your news bulletins. When this crescent and the star is seen from 6 to 9 months as a fixed thing in the sky, which is an impossibility, because the crescent is supposed to be part of the sun or part of the moon, whichever you look at it. The star, if we say a star is the sun, that means you will have a sun in between one of the phases of the moon and your earth. That's impossible. You cannot take a sun and put it between the moon and the earth and expect it to exist there. First of all, it would vaporize the moon and the earth. Okay? So what we see is an impossibility. There must be therefore an explanation for that. When the first phase of the moon, what is called the new moon, gets into a crescent or first quadrant again, and some shining planetoid or satellite is in orbit between it, you may get that point fixed. Okay? That for the Christian is the New Jerusalem. That for the metaphysician is Sanchez, the new earth, the earth child. A place where many people will be taken to wait out some of the catastrophes that will be happening on earth for those of earth who have not already made their means with the inner earth people and can go into that. Those are whole different lectures, but I put it into this one to let you understand that I understand the concept. Then for those who cannot separate, for those who will not raise their vibration, there is riding it out on earth and doing the best you can with what you got. The things you cannot give up, hold on to them. And stay with them with what happens to those things. You'll find people in this age separating. You'll find mates having to say goodbye. It shouldn't be vicious. It should be something that must be done. You'll find friends that will not take on new vibrations, that will laugh at you. You have no time to argue. If you believe in the truth, you must follow that truth. If you follow your mate to detriment, then die with your mate in detriment and be happy. If you follow your lover in detriment, then die with your lover in detriment and be happy because you've received your bliss. But if you must follow your inner convictions, then follow it all the way. There are no fence sitters at this time. You must get on fire with a concept and follow it completely, or you will perish or live based on your concept. I mean by that, for the kind of people that you're talking about to reach down and pluck you up and help you, you must have your vibrational rate, what they call your chakra centers, your upper glandular areas, spinning 3 times faster than your lower centers. Or else when they pull a teleporting machine on you, or they put in what they call a lifting phase rod on you, you would disintegrate and burst, just like in the movies when you see what happened in The Fly. They're always trying to tell you what's happening, but we don't understand. Or you'd mutate. So, unless you can do this, you can't even be beamed aboard. If there are such things as these craft that you see around, which have been analyzing, they know more about you than you know about yourself, by the way. They know where your colonies came from, they know who you are, they know your genetic RNA, DNA pattern, they know your thoughts, because the thoughts always rise. Those that are good go out the furthest from Earth. Those that are heavy stay the closest in. They can just analyze an atmosphere and tell the combined thought of a people. The cities carry a smog or halo over them. If you go out and look at it from the highway, you wouldn't want to drive into the cities because of the dense gloss that's there. When you see a city that doesn't have it, go live there, because it means at least the vibrations are clean there. As Earth cleanses itself, then you automatically separate yourself out from that is negative and become that is positive. You stop being the viruses and cancers and begin to be the aerobic bacteria, migrating to a new Earth, and you will be protected. Because the bloodstream of the Creator always protects those cells that are following direction. And that's all you are. It's units of consciousness, electromagnetic units of consciousness in the bloodstream of the Creator. If you don't follow it, you poison your cells, you poison your organs, you poison your constellations, and the Creator tries to eliminate you because you're not following orders. Toward that, he has plenty of policemen come out and get you. You say this is way out. You know it's not, it's way in. It's internally what you must believe and live with that makes you what you are. You cannot lie to yourself. They say in judgment, a person's record plays before them simply because on your neuron centers, at your synapse points, everything you've done is in consciousness there. You can lie to everybody else in the world, but if you lie to yourself, you're already lost. And therefore, you will tell on yourself. You will judge yourself. You don't need a judger, a grim reaper coming about. You will automatically know. And automatically, that lowers your vibrations. If you raise your vibrations, you can join what is called the planetary brotherhood. Some of those spaceships you see out there are good. Some of those spaceships you don't even want to get within 1,000 miles of. All that flies is not good. All that glitters is not gold. Don't just run the spaceships as saving things. Some of them are very deadly. But the ones that you might want to approach are electromagnetic in nature. They cannot touch down on the earth because it takes a tremendous amount of energy to free themselves from that kind of a low vibration. The ones that you don't want can land anywhere. They're the electric ones. Okay? Therefore, the ones that are electromagnetic do not touch down. They either send out scout ships or rays or beams which can attract you into it or levitate your electromagnetic field, and you just simply molecularize inside. That's what a high spirit can do. A low spirit is so pragmatic, so grounded in animals, so grounded in material thoughts that it's so tightly held together that it would rather break than give and flow. It would rather yang than yin. Consequently, that is a problem now. This is why they're fighting to put into your bloodstreams things that will make your blood vibrations low. Into your children, who are the best processors of melanin and this kind of things that will make their vibrations low. Things that will make them suffer as their people will suffer because of the lack of vibration. It wants to lower the vibration, extract from you the glandulars to help them to survive. That's why, again, I say, and I'm not naive, I'm anything but naive, that some of these serum inoculations, it is not worth sending your kid to school for. Now, I'm not going to say that Blair got up here and said, everybody keep their schools out of the Atlanta school system, public school system. I'm saying, if you're sending them there for education, send them wherever they may be educated, not trained. If it takes shots in the arms in order to be learned, take them possibly where you don't have to get shots in the arm in order to learn. And if you're afraid of going to jail, then understand this: you're going to go to jail anyway down the line anytime you take a stance for good. Or you're going to be approached, because they don't want good people, they want followers, they want adapters, they want slaves, once again. The earth is said by 2012 to start all over on a 1,000-year cycle. This is already 1993 in the middle of the year. By the year 2000, you won't recognize your planet. As these changes take place, people will begin to change. Psychic ability will become a way of life, because those that are there will raise the blood rate, the glands click in, and as the earth now takes away its protective ozone layer and its protective oxygen layer, it will let the kind of radiation come in to let you begin to do what you used to be able to do. Lifting and using kinetic force to lift objects will come again to mankind through the glands. But you cannot possess these powers or do what it says unless you can clean the body enough and the mind enough and the spirit enough so there's no resistance to let that kind of energy flow through. The end result will be with Earth will take its place in the planetary brotherhood. Toward that end, talk of the serpent people, I'm well aware of, talk of the 13th planet coming around, talk of the showdown between the gray men and the Iranian and Syrian people, all this will take place. It's already taking place. That's why they're seeing so many of the mutant ninja turtles and all the reptiles, that they're preparing for the return of the serpents. But understand, these serpent people are very wise, very smart, with all kind of weaponry you wouldn't imagine. And the only force in this constellation that could stand against them will be the Syrians. And unless you can begin to clean up that act, they can't come to your defense. And in fact, all they'll do is send their little shock troopers, the little grays, which will be enough to eliminate most people who won't vibrate correctly in the first place. That showdown is a whole different way of talk. But understand that the vibrations that you're hearing and seeing are leading up to at least an 18-year period when everything you wanted will be true. But just as in the free radicals, it's got to get worse before it gets better. I thank you very much. May the Creator bless you. The brothers and sisters from the black media had stated that I think around this time we're supposed to get out of the auditorium. There's going to be a special thing there. If we're still supposed to go for a Q&A, a question and answer room, then possibly one of you would come up to the mic or announce it in the back and tell us what we're supposed to do at this time. It's either Emiola or Uma or some of the people that are take with them. Could you kind of tell me now what the people are supposed to do? Here? Okay, I know they want. Can we stay here and do that then? Okay, till they kick us out, we stay here. Okay, when they kick us out, that's it. I'm not going to go to another room. I'm going to go home. Okay, so up until that time, please state your question and answer loudly, or if we can put a mic out. Pardon? We're already kicked out. Okay, well, that's why I was asking again before we started this again, per se. Uma, is there a message again, or we want to come up and talk? Or? We have to go up front? The next room on the right. Okay, so we do have to leave here then. All right, thank you. Here's a quick way to do it. It takes study or it takes some learning. If you just take a chance, then, fine. Yes,
I've listened and watched the tapes in the past, and you mentioned something during the lecture about people living in you. Now, how is a person like me, for example, to relate that? Because to live in the earth, and there's something about a sun or what have you that's in the earth. You understand that on this planet, there's certain parts or portions of the planet where you can go down to this. Now, could you just talk a little bit about what form this light is? Not in three-dimensional form. What is it? Or could you just kind of explain that a little bit, please?
The underworld, again, it's another lecture that I give, is really in 7 parts. There's 6 cavern worlds and 1 hollow area where there's a central sun of the solar Earth. Okay? The Earth breathes through its opening. That's why the probes have never been discovered. Neither Matthew Henson nor Bird nor Perry discovered the probes. There are openings there. These openings allow the planet to take in energy and excrete energy. And the central sun acts as a gyroscopic mechanism. It is the centralizer of the ego, the soul of Earth itself. That's what we call the central sun. It's an inflamed chakra that is giving off energy. The inner cavern worlds are where you have all of many of your species manipulated, your mutants, people who come from space and cannot live on the surface of the planet. Very few creatures can live to the radiation and electronic field that we have here. That's why our lifespans are so short. But at least we can adapt and do it. Most people fry or die, most humanoids fry or die on the surface of the planet. They have to live away from that kind of radiation. Go into the whole history of the underworld, literally would take 2 or 3 hours, and it really should be done in the class. But I can only say that it's about anything you imagine is down there. There's another lecture I did called Genealogical Beyond Jurassic Park, okay, which is really the logical results of illogical gene splicing and spider manipulation. Those spider manipulators are down there too. Sometimes some of these people that are down there are humanoids are green in color. And when they put on the surface, if they eat the meats, breathe the air, and they can oxidate, they become pink. Many German people who came from this area, as Hitler tried to talk about, guys, a real man tried to talk about. You have down there what people call yetes, who are simply guardians again from Maldak, who have penalties to pay. And they guard the entranceways between the caverns. You have down there D-rows and T-rows, and you name it, bat people, you name it, they're down there. In the center are usually those who have been saved from generation to generation because they've raised their vibrations, still want to work from Earth itself, and are part of the planetary button that they can come and go through the polar happiness. So as I say, it's a whole story series. If you want studies on that, I have them. So, okay.
I've always seen where people talk about abductions. They only talk about Europeans being abducted. I've never seen any blacks being interviews on TV saying they're being abducted.
Melanin carriers being abducted.
So they are being abducted. Why is it that it's not as popular as,
because, like the news usually is directed toward Caucasians because Caucasians own and do programs and pay the commentators and put the news on that they feel directly. Now, not all abductions is bad, but I wouldn't take my chance on getting abducted to see if this is going to be a good guy or a bad guy. Some of the people that are abducted are returned with implants. Some of them are programmed to do a certain thing at a certain time, and only under hypnosis do they begin to remember some of the things they do. But it seems as though some of them are being trained to man some of these beam weapons and fly some of the UFOs that the United States and Russia has made to fight against the coming either of the serpent people or of the Syrians. And of course then, whoever gets killed, they're happy because they're only controlled Earth people fighting against their masters or gods as they return. So they think it's a big joke. They find it very funny. Yes.
If it's possible to do this using today's calendar type system in terms of years, can you put some of the events that you described, such as the arrival of the, let's just say, to put them in chronological order, that is, events such as maybe Atlantis, Lemuria, people to clear these, see what I'm saying?
You're talking possibly about Hyperborea, roughly around 2 million years ago, and as recently as about 300,000 years ago, that's what we call the Antarctic. It was a continent, a thriving continent with cyclopeans and some returns to blacks, some black people there. Of course, we don't even believe that Antarctica was ever inhabited. They're now finding some of these rainbow cities, crystal cities that were made of plastic, but are very impenetrable plastic, in rainbow cities. When you talk about Pan, Lemuria, Mu, you're talking about an area in the Pacific, which is the Hawaii, Guinea, Easter Island, they're all remnants of that part. And of course there you're talking about originally a very dark-skinned people, and later on a mixture of red and dark people, and later on a mutation of Mars, which is the area that we call Sagittarius. Later on, when you're talking about Atlantis, you're talking there a period of about 750 to about 575,000 years ago. When you're talking about Atlantis, you're talking about something fairly recent in time, no more than about 150,000 years, dissipating in about 15,000 BC. And there you had the people from Marduk that incarnated, Maldek Malona is what we now call it, people from the inner earth, and some of the Martians that were there, together with some of the bad scientists, you want to call it the Nakels. The Nakel 1s were bad, the Nakel 2s that migrated to Africa and Egypt were good. But then you had them there, and they're the ones we're talking about. The last of their kind in Paris is about 15,000.
Can you speak a little bit about the brothers you made these thousands from Africa? Found that it was brothers from another planet?
You're talking about the cake, you got the cake close encounters of the fourth kind.
Yeah.
Deal with the third combination. Well, let's just say I have not had contact with those brothers since 1959. One at that time had an afro at a time when people weren't wearing afros, the other had a close crop. One, he was about 6'5", the other guy was about 5'7". I have not seen them since, and I think one was from Sirius.
You met them in what city? You met them in the city?
In Chicago. In Chicago, the seminary.
What made you think they were from the
Well, what they did, I hadn't seen any brother do since, and you know that's why they read my mind. I didn't even realize what was being mind read because it was so smooth until I longed into the conversation, and I was kind of really going to say something. I knew I shouldn't have said it, but I was thinking it anyway, and he answered it and didn't answer the question I was thinking. I said I haven't said that yet, and that's when he said, "Well, you haven't said a lot of things yet." And then I started back and said, man, I'm up against something here. You know, my ego had me then. I was in college, but I knew it all. And I just found out I was out of class. You know, he predicted within 15 minutes events exactly as they were going to happen, and they did. I had a time shift, a time loss. I lost about 15 minutes. Saw back and forth different dimensions. I mean, it goes on and on. What they didn't do is what amazed me. Make anything they wanted when they could. So that was pretty much it. After that is when I had my first UFO contact. Yes.
Could you say something more about the Atlanta missing and murdered children and what you foresee is happening in Atlanta in the future?
What do I see in Atlanta, the city, happening?
Yeah, as far as different developments in the international city, a lot of secret stuff going on. The Georgia Pacific building, several floors underground.
Well, let's say Atlanta isn't as bad as some of the cities are. But obviously by you having the Olympics here in '96, it's going to be a central hub. The developments here, good and bad, will allow now a lot of underground work to take place because they're normally you ask questions about they won't now, and a lot of the installations now will be expanded underground. That's bad. Good part is, as it's called in ancient Atlanta, being Atlanta now, it still carries a vibration. Unfortunately, before the manipulations were wrong. Your Center for Disease Control here is probably one of the most insidious beasts throughout. And again, has unlimited funds to do whatever research they want. And of course, you know who the guinea pigs generally are. Okay, I thought I saw a hand over back.
Yeah, sister right here.
Yeah.
I've been noticing something in the news. I've been noticing more frequent attacks on people by animals such as sharks and barracudas and alligators. And I know it means something. And I was wondering if you knew what that meant.
I think we're getting more publications of that now. And more people are visiting areas where these creatures exist. Before they didn't have to interface with man that much. Okay. However, the serpent areas, the reptilian areas are awakening because their seed is close to returning, the 13th planet. And Alexander Solzhenitsyn called it the 12th planet, it's the 13th planet. As these come back into vibrations, then, of course, they become more egotistical and so on and so forth. If you notice, the back of your hands, the body, except for the soles of the feet, the back of most reptiles are humped and lizard-like, they're scaly-like. Some people even go psoriasis underneath there. All people look like tadpoles the first trimester. We have an alien bacteriological strain of DNA that is from serpents. Okay, we are somewhat reptilian. Okay, other people actually produce scales and things like this. As this Earth goes back to that, then those kind of scientists and those people who were alien in that instance will try to return. We have now also the bloodline of what is called the higher advanced people from Sirius and even beyond that. And that part also must be weeded out. We chose to take the bodies that could adapt to this kind of radiation. Serpents can adapt to extreme radiations, and that's why that part of the skin is still there and that part of the mind is still there. The reason why the mutant ninja turtles and everything else is to prepare you for the reptilians coming. They want you to like reptiles. They want you to understand reptiles can be friendly. And that's all because their serpents are returning. I would say this, the few of the serpents who have risen in spirituality to be friendly with are not as much as their populace who eat people. Okay? That's all I can say.
Okay.
I know that I feel that we're in mental slavery right now, but you mentioned something about slavery, I guess, like physical slavery. When is this supposed to happen exactly? When they're going to all try to get us all back into physical slavery again?
Well, if you look at the prisons and you look at the countless places of incarceration, black men are already back to being physically slaves. Many black sisters are in there also. They have you tied into the IRS, into the state governments, and so we're almost in mental slavery, constantly worried about what time to pay taxes, how much money they're taking from this, what new taxes about here, will I get fired, so on and so forth. They keep us in that state so that we do not have time to become spiritual and go within. The physical enslavement is already taking place and will grow as this new order comes in line and as people rebel against the new order. Again, once they start messing with the money, people go crazy. You don't mess with, you can do whatever you want to their family, but don't mess with their money. Now you won't be able to pull money out of your banks. When you begin to try and convert and buy things, the cost will be too much. They'll tell you about taking in new money and stuff like this. That's when they're already prepared to start putting people in jail because they know it will be a rebellion against it. Already some people don't want some of the shots that they're giving. And of course now they're trying to make you go to jail if you don't get your shots. If you don't get your kids shot, they put you and the kid in jail. So what do? One place they give you diseases and compromise your immune system. The other one they put you into physical incarceration. It's already started.
Also, they project when the Currency Recall Act comes in, which is about a year now. They said if you rebel against it, that's going to justify them putting mental slavery. Such acts as the King Alpha Plan and all that. Also, okay, the sister back here and you. Okay.
I want to ask, Democrat has a headquarters here. I want to ask you, is it home of the New World?
It's which now? The home of the New World Order? Not that I understand it to be. Again, the New World Order started even under Kaiser Wilhelm, even back with Hitler. It started back in the days of the Rothschilds again. It's been going on for some time. It started back with the feudal barons, and so in Europe and all like this. Adolf Hitler was part of the New World Order. He said he wanted to rule the world. And of course, if you look at that whole thing, or the Brown Shirts after Kaiser Wilhelm in World War I, when he took these youth there and began to change the monetary system to kick out the Jewish money lenders again, the bankers. The Rothschilds, of course, did not appreciate that. But again, one thing's for sure, if you do some research on that in the start of the New World Order, Adolf Hitler was not his name. His name was Adolf Schicklgruber. Okay, that's his real name. And he had an astrologer named Hitler. Once his astrologer died, called what they call the cosmic interchange, he wanted to take on the vibrations of it, he changed his name to Hitler. And if you look up Schicklgruber, it means money changer. Okay? And that's exactly what he was. And so it gets to be very interesting when you look at that whole New World Order and the whole Brown Church and so on like that.
Okay. Okay, let's get my brother here. You and you. Okay.
Questions I want to ask, but they sound far-fetched, but is there any way you can leave the planet if you want to?
Can leave it if you want to.
I mean, since you know this happening, you may want to avoid it.
To want to, it'd be enough to probably send out the signal for contact if you're talking about going on in a ship or something like this. If you mean to do it by definite, I don't think you mean that. Of course, that way is understood. Or in temporary things through astral projection. Whatever you get on fire about mentally, you start beaming and broadcasting. And the stronger your signal to purification of the body and concentration of the mind, the more you'll probably get your results you want. If you want to do something strong enough and you stay with it, you're sending out the signal for that. Of course, other than that, you go where you think they are and hope. Okay?
Dr. Blair, you spoke in one of your lectures, you were talking about the motherships coming back. As the vibratory rates increase, will there be beings that are inside the Earth coming into the surface of the Earth?
They already are.
They already are? Okay. And will there be ships that come out of the Earth from the inside, from like Shambhala and Nagata to help?
Supposedly they already are too. The Vimanas are the ones more or less that are the interplanetary ships that these can go by to neighboring moons, and so the Ventlas are the ones that are the inner Earth ships that come out and fly around and so on like that. But then you have the avalanches and all kind of avalanches, soul card like this, these things, these huge ships that can't even come close to a planet because they're so large in scope and their magnetic field is so strong. So they simply use the moon as a satellite and then send in scout ships and things from there. The brotherhood and the sisterhood has been there for some time. It's just that Earth has been like in quarantine for a while because of all the laggards and changelings and everything else that was here. Now that it's about to graduate a group of more spiritual people and there's a cosmic cleansing because Earth itself, as I said, there are many lectures, there's only so much you can get into sensibly in one sense of time. As Earth is changing to, say, an academy status, then there'll be a new populace that can take in higher teachings, and it will no longer be prison colonies and experimental colonies and all that going on.
Okay. Okay, wonderful.
I was expecting you to talk on the women's lecture, but since you didn't, can you kind of touch on what role you see women playing and what everything that's going to come there?
Well, the woman lecture, again, and I hope it's not my last time here. I hope you guys can find a way to want me back and we can get into some of these things in detail. The only thing I can say as an overview about the woman lecture is that it teaches of the original woman who was a hermaphrodite. Original woman was also colorless because original woman was man. There was no division of sexes. After that time, the female changed and became mated again with an earth-centered being, and then became more human, giving forth the human or animal god or animal man birth. The thing that woman is constantly doing is going back to what they call parthenogenesis. That's what the Parthenon was about. And the Greeks did not build the Parthenon. The Greeks simply took that area and tried to do some more with it. The Parthenon was where women would go on fast, where women would come there at certain times of the year to have energy generated into their bodies, sunlight. Sunlight produced mitosis in the womb and the ovum, and later on again in the uterus. And you could get cell division without sexual cohabitation. You'd have generation based on energies from the sun. That's why they told women to at times avoid sunlight, other times to have sunlight, and that's why most of the so-called avatars and messiahs were not supposed to be of the seed of man and woman, but from the sun, the whole thing. So that woman lecture shows a lot of the tumors, a lot of the dermoid cysts are simply the women trying to reproduce, but not able to. So that comes from what is called an unclean body, meaning simply it's impossible almost to get a clean body under this system. But the woman still tries to go back to what she used to be able to do, to self-generate. So toward that end, if it were to take place, there'd be no men on Earth. So those that took over want to make sure that that never happens again, because it would be a freedom of choice, and most men would not. See, all original zygotes are female. Without testosterone being produced, there would be no males. And for a time on generation of Earth, there was a season without males. And again, this goes back to circumcision, birthmarks, the whole bit. The other thing, again, is what happens in the female system based on this whole principle that they will not tell her. But to get the whole thing laid out, of course, I don't, there's just not enough time. And if you're interested in it, I have the woman lecture tape. You can send for it. Or as I say, if you want to organize and have a lecture for it, I'd be happy.
Okay, my brother here.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
What about the people? What about the astral world? What effect does all this have on the astral world and the people who are indigenous to the planet and everything?
Yes, we have the tape again called Drugs in the Astral, which tells about drugs, tells about astral. The only thing I can say, every one of the 7 bodies we're capable of having supposedly has an existence somewhere on a planet as based upon its vibrational rate. The astral planet, the etheric planet, the mental planet, the causal planet, the physical planet. We're used to a physical planet. Each of these worlds has a whole system in which just nothing but those kind of beings are on. We are a Duke's mixture of all of it, and have the capabilities and potentials of all of it. It's just a matter of what you spend time with it again, per se.
Okay, sister right here. And you next.
How do the people seriously figure into the events of the end time?
How do they figure into the events of what?
The end time.
Oh, now.
End time.
Yeah.
End time now? How do they figure in?
What role does Sirius play in this?
The concept is that the Syrians were what we call the elder fathers in many cases, the sons of the sun. That at one time they were to prepare the planet for Earth life to evolve back to them and back to the kinds of people that they serve. We would call that, if you would, the black race, if you want, the black men, the people of Earth. But as I state, there was a goof. Okay, that's why there's such a serious interaction now. Okay, that's supposed to be a joke. At any rate, the goof was that they allowed some of their own kind to be caught up in the planet's electromagnetic field, and instead of coming back for us or later, they were part of us at the beginning. But their people began to also degenerate so that they went into the underworld to live, and they weren't even supposed to be on this planet. They were supposed to be overseers of this planet. That, since they are really considered to be a very advanced people, set up a stage for less advanced people to come and work out as they try to work out their brethren. Then other people said, well, since they're there and they're the gods, or they're goofed, you know, and they goof, why can't we send ours? And so then you get into the belief of archangels, decisions by Michael, Oriel, Gabriel, Uriel, whatever. You get into what they call, well, that's a whole different, that's cosmology. The whole idea is that they are very advanced people, okay, and that they have a direct link with our Earth and a direct link with getting some of their children back off from Earth to continue with the planetary ascensions.
Okay, brother back here, how many more else you want to do?
When this thing comes to an end and people don't have the knowledge at the time, will they be told the truth why certain people are being picked up by the citizens? They are not.
Told the truth in what way?
Will they know?
Told the truth in what way?
Well, he's saying, will they come in? You saying, will they come into a knowledge of themselves, or a knowledge of what's going on?
Those who will hear have ears to hear. Those who will see have eyes to see. Those who will sense have sensory organs to sense. Just as you gravitate toward knowledge, hopefully this is knowledge, toward wisdom, that you have to generate from yourself, and know others hear the call too. If they will not follow the call, and you don't bring it to them, they don't believe you, then they go with their own thoughts. There's no truth till you decide what truth is. People put priorities first. What one man's priority or one woman's priority is may not be another person's priority. You get what pretty much you receive, what you give off, and what you want. So just like you hear it, they could hear it. Not just from me, but from anybody. Just as you sense it, they sense it. They're not listening. You cannot be responsible for those who will not hear.
Okay, we're going to do you, and then whatever you want to do.
Okay, now I don't know how, which way, when what line were they raising
you
their hand?
first, you
the brother in the
second,
corner?
you third. The brother, oh, no, you already had one. Can't do it.
No, the brother
You
in the
second,
corner.
brother.
Okay, where?
I just wanted to know, do you know when Stone Crescent spoke about that, when that occurred?
When will it occur? I'm not sure. Whenever it's really get hat time. Let's hope it doesn't occur for a long time. But probably, as I see, about 96, between 96 and 97. Japan is to be washed away into the sea by 96. That's why they're buying up land and into the trilateral system and all. They will not have places to live. That will be one of the, pardon me? That will be one of the symbols when that happens, and the tributaries of Japan are gone. Then probably we begin to see that, because then there's going to be a rush for space, inhabitable space that's not contaminated. And of course everybody will be killing off everybody trying to exist and live on some of the land masses that are not going through earthquakes or floods, and you got utter chaos.
To make some clarity on that, a couple of other people, psychics that I'm in touch with, as well as my studies, is when the Dogon do the Sigi ceremony, which is 60 years, and we got a new date on that. Instead of it being 96, it's going to be 97, because they don't print those in books. We had to get it off of an old TV show that aired in the 70s when nobody was into it, in search of, and the date was 97 when Griot and Dittelin saw this ceremony. And so when they supposedly do the ceremony, that would be the birthday of Osiris in Kemet and the birthday of Nomo in Dogon. And so that fits right in what he just said. So with 96, 97 area.
Okay. Now, let me say just one thing to that, too. They are doing experiments in time bouncing, time altering, and time streaming. They have now set up a conduit into the sixth universe, which no other people in consciousness have ever done before, as I understand, in time. That can change a lot of things. And I have no idea. That's why I answered that question. The brother who has done his research, I say I have no idea, because that can set up some things that you couldn't imagine. That gets into parallel universes and ceasing existence periods. Just some things that people, when they have had that kind of power, had wisdom before. These people do anything. So I don't know.
I'll have a lecture on the 14th right here, where I'll go into my research. Real good stuff. On August 14th right here, where I'll go into my stuff. Brother here.
Do you recommend that, or just positive
Okay, are you talking in many cases of the Hebrew Israelites and so on like this? Well, whatever they are. Okay, you're saying that they are going to go to a new continent, and you're asking what in sense of that?
You're going to gravitate towards Africa. He's saying that the black people's need to gravitate back home with bringing up Africa again.
Will that lift Africa's consciousness?
Well, he wants to know, what is this?
Is that going to help us save ourselves here?
Well, again, let me say something that I know is going to be misconstrued. It's going to turn off a lot of people when he said, the brother said that, the brother's lost. So please hear how I'm saying it as an utterance. The people that you call black did not come from Africa. Okay? Now, in many cases, Africa was not even the name of that continent, for one thing. That was named by the 10th Pope. And therefore, that's why they're talking now about Kemet and these other more metaphysical names. Secondly, the black man of Earth generated not only from Hyperborea, but was found everywhere on Earth. He was a seed placed there. Other people have come and changed over. When they came into Europe, the Etruscans were replaced by Italians. Now we think the Italians are from Italy. The Greeks replaced the Ionians. I mean, it goes on down the line. It was a black man's planet at one time, as they state. When the seed from Seth was set on the surface, they lived everywhere. Then they were confined to a continent with the battles on Atlantis, Lemuria, and I've even talked about the space battles that were fought here. I mean, how much can you cover? Then they were generated to this continent of Africa, and even there they were attacked because they lost their religion. And when losing religion, they lost the spirituality of the protections of the Syrians and even people from beyond Syria. It's only so far I can go, just spooting out concepts which may be facts. So I simply say that Africa is not the only place you find the bones of black people.
Okay, how many more you want to do? I got
Let's see again how we can go before we get exhausted. Who's next again?
Okay, brother back here. You next. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And we're going to go on this side.
All right, is this a brother?
Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
There's a movie called The Intruders, in which aliens or something that's taken the abductees and removing the embryos from the women, and they're supposed to be children or something like that. Is that true? And if it is, how do they play into the
Okay, were you here for the entire lecture? Okay. In the terms of the grays, in the terms of the oranges, in the terms of the, oh God, I forget, there's so many different kinds. You've had 9 different species of aliens here over the last 9 years or 10 years anyway. Yes, they have seeded, crossbred with Earth women. They have seeded Earth women. They have dropped off mutations. They've done just about anything you can think of, again, per se. And some of the movies try to show this. The people that you had in the oranges that were supposedly with the detectives that came here and worked the police force, I forget, Alien Nation and this kind of thing, that's a reality. The serpents are a reality. The Mutant Ninja Turtles, in a sense, are reality, or they're not doing what they do. All of these things are part of reality pictures. When you had the movie, E.T., Alien, all of these are just segments of it. Close Encounter was a compilation of the best abduction and contact cases, which Spielberg just happened to put into a panorama movie and reach his own conclusion about Devil's Mountain, which the Algonquins have always said was the place of the gods, that they landed there and came down and talked with them. So all of these things have a part of the truth within them.
Yeah. Okay. What was?
Brother Blair, I have seen probably 7 or 8 of your videos through Brother Cedric One and Black Media, and I still have probably quite a few questions, and I'm studying and learning myself, and we could probably be here another 2 weeks asking and answering questions. My question is that where do the masses or the people that are interested in this information go to research a lot of it? Because a lot of the information that you're given today is really hard to find in most of the bookstores and most of the information. Is that based more on meditation and getting answers to higher spiritual forms, or are there areas and places where we should be going to seek this information, or should we even worry about it? Yet, should our main goal be to cleanse ourselves and get our vibrational rate up?
Well, all of the above in segments. The brother here keeps telling you that he's going to give a lecture, that the Black Media has books, some of them, that they have sponsored in other speakers, and that they have people who they feel are competent. If you go within and meditate, you always get answers. And the more you do the meditations and in sequence and at certain times where you set aside where you can spend 15 minutes with yourself or half an hour with yourself, you get a lot of intuitive type things that come through and certain feelings that you might want to follow. As far as the cleansing of the body, it's a state of mind. What is cleansed to another is poor twice to another. It's just whatever it takes to get your vibrational rate up where you can pick up the phone, like E.T., you phoned home. Meditation is an excellent tool to use. So whether you go with speakers, whether you go with books, whether you go with meditation, the point is to know when you're hearing what you want to hear, and this is very important.
Okay. You.
Okay. Is there any kind of music that could stimulate self-healing? I've been in Chicago, and he plays a lot of good instrumentals that supposedly would get your being into line. Is there any kind of music that you could listen to get your chakras or whatever in line?
Well, music is nothing but vibration. And whatever vibrations can begin to make your cells and your brain come into more relaxed consciousness and begin to reveal to yourself the things that are hidden there. Because we use less than a tenth of our brains as it is, mainly because the so-called subconscious mind, which is really the real consciousness, is not even utilized because of the harsh cacophonic sounds and stuff. Anytime you get sounds that jar the system, that shock the system, you cannot be at peace. So the peaceful music is dying out. They're coming with rap. That's why they push rap. Also, let me say that they put sublimination under many of these A&R people in these studios. They put subliminal things under there, and that's another lecture I have where I play you some tapes. You wouldn't believe what they're saying when you put the thing backwards, and that's what your so-called subconscious picks up. It's telling you to kill. It's telling you you're no good. It's telling you no reason for you to be healthy. I mean, you know, they're deprogramming and reprogramming like at a frightful rate. Things that give you peaceful, that can relax you from all this stress and tension. Some people have never relaxed in so long they don't even know what it is to get peaceful. In fact, when they get peaceful, they go to sleep and they start shaking and they break out. They have to go through a cleansing period because they lived under such tension where all the electromagnetic lines are just taut. To relax that and let between the flows, the interstitial vibrations, is very difficult for people here because people here are pragmatic, materialistic. They tell you you got to have it. If you don't have it, you're not worth anything. And so you kill yourself. You never relearn to relax and hear those inner streams. So whether it be music, meditation, hypnosis, even the drugs, if you're going to use them for good, and although you have to prepare yourself for that, now we're using the drugs, don't even understand anything about it, and it explodes us to the astral, then we're in trouble and we wonder what happened. So yes, vibrations help.
Okay, three good tapes. You can get them at Black Media. I'm going to have them up there. Tape Upper Astro 1 and 2, Tibetan Bells 1, 2, and 3. They'll be available at Black Media. They have Tibetan Bells 1 and 2, and I think they might have Upper Astro, Manifestation, and Crystal Cave. Those are some good tapes. They'll be at Black Media, so we can get them right here in Atlanta. Okay, you, and then this brother here. You already spoke one time, didn't you? Okay, come on, man. Yeah.
My question is about whales. Recently on television, there are a lot of whales coming in from the water where coexist, and they've been coming on the beach with enough water for someone to perish. Could you elaborate on that?
The sperm whales, the big so-called killer whales, so on and so forth again, as well as the dolphin, all have a hump near what they call the hypothalamus. It shows psychic power. It shows the ability to tune to vibrations beyond the 7-band spectrum that we do. Therefore, they can attune to the upper areas of Earth's heavens. They can get the signals coming in from other planets. They can attune to the lower areas of Earth. They can feel all these vibrations. They know our history. Many of these creatures were from other planets in the first place. As I explained, when the Earth's salt water was radiated, then creatures that weren't even from here were able to live within it. They have a psychic intelligence far beyond ours. They can burn you out psychically if they ever attack, because they can send out a vibration that would burn out your psychic gland, your pineal gland, or the pituitary gland. Since they are more or less peaceful and kept under control by dolphins and a species called halibut, that's why they never show you the head of a halibut, okay, which was like a merman and mermaid that the Atlanteans made, which were given dominion over the sea. Once this is done, then as they develop their international power and no longer just follow the dictates of man, then yes, there would be, what shall we say, sea creatures that have just as much power. What the sea creatures have done is act as a bridge against some of the best cleansers and watchdogs of the serpent people, what they would now call the Platelosaurus, the sea serpents. Now, you're going to hear talk about them nowadays. They're already off the Straits of Madagascar. You've got some in Vermont. I understand Lake Michigan now has one. These creatures are voracious. And although they were peaceful at one time, when they come to protect the creatures of the sea, they become very, very attacking, if you would. So yes, they have a code also that's followed. We're just beginning to crack into that code, and again, just beginning to understand that each life form must be respected for other life forms.
Blair, now it's getting increasingly hot. Dog days and phones.
Tell me about it.
And we're going into Sirius now. What kind of meditation should Sirius is rising? What kind of meditation should we be getting into?
Well, it's difficult to say what kind of meditation. We can use the pragmatic oscilloscopes of the people who are now dominating us in the sense of producing the machinery. You can go into alpha, you can go into delta, you can go into gamma, you can go into the spaces in between. It really doesn't matter. What it is, again, I don't know what methodology they use to teach meditation here. We have our own, but you have to first tune into your own body signal. And once you can tune into that hum within you, you can begin to vibrate yin and yang back or forward to the psychic or to the astral world. But you first must find your center. Now, whatever gets that done, whatever technique you want to use, that's up to you. There are many of them.
And C. Freeman L. is teaching multi-techniques here in Atlanta. So that's a person for anybody who hadn't been coming to get in touch with. Brother C. Freeman L. I introduced it first. Okay, now, what we got left?
Can we go around again?
Anybody? Okay, Can you go around? So, okay, go ahead, sister, go ahead.
Okay, let's do this because it's very hot and your energy fields in here. I'm a psychic and I pick up a lot of energy fields. Not only is it warm, which I can take the physical warmth by sweat, but some of the pressures that are now coming in are kind of rough. So yeah. I'm going to have to say about 10 or 15 minutes, okay? Let's go, your sister.
Booyah, one.
It's obvious that black people are in trouble over this. What do we do in that particular United States? Because I know basically the target is us.
What do we do? What do we do? We have been trying to do so much, with so much for so long, to do so little till I don't know what we do anymore. That's terrible, but it's my feeling. What you can do is to make yourself the best person that you can live with. And if everybody would do that, then we'd have nothing but best persons. We all live with each other, and the whole thing would be solved immediately. But then we'd separate, and they could just send down energy fields that wouldn't even bother you, destroy everybody else, and that would be it. Okay? Since we fluctuate between when we're going to be good and when we're going to be bad, when we're going to uplift and when we're going to downside, you know, it's very difficult. Work on yourself.
That's, to add on that, if you worry about the masses, you won't illuminate yourself. And the first thing is to heal yourself before you can heal others. Heal others. And I think the whole mass concept of what we do is a romantic concept. But it really don't hold no water because, like you say, most masses don't want to be helped, and they can hold you down from getting there. We got enough groups that's tapped in to worry about them, and then the masses of dominant culture, popular culture, will somehow filter in. So we're going to build from the inside out instead of the outside in, which is counter-revolutionary. Okay.
Brother?
Okay, your sister right here, then you.
The sister? Sorry.
Question is, as far as the kids go, okay, they're really shooting at, your kids being vaccinated and everything, and which, I don't believe in. My question to you, you have the doctors here, people say you can go to, and they'll run injections for them or help you out. But when you go down there, you call, for some reason, they're going into hiding. My question, could you suggest anyone that can help us? You have a lot of parents that are looking for this information, trying to find out what we can do as far as our children being taken care of.
First of all, in Atlanta, I don't know many of the allopathic, naturopathic, homeopathic, so on and called physicians. First of all. Second of all, the AMA does not accept anybody under the so-called title of chiropractic, and they give them a hard time. So the kind of doctors you're talking about, if they want to be picky units, they're not going to accept letters from anyway. The ones that I do know in Chicago and Illinois or other places, I don't even think carrying a certificate from a doctor outside of that state would be accepted in the school system within the state. If it is, you could try it again. There is presently a constitutional right and an amendment that allows you to go free, travel free unvaccinated, and to refuse to have your child vaccinated. Now, they have not officially suspended the Constitution yet. By taking the statutory amendments, the Second Amendment, 14th Amendment, so on and so forth, and standing by them, or just go read your constitutional, you can claim that constitutional need and right, and you can claim that you as a religious objectioner, in your religious, as you practice this, refuses to do this. The most they can do is write you up and put a tag on your file, okay? Under religious grounds and constitutional grounds, you can still stand against having vaccinations. Here, I can't work with you well on that because I don't know enough of the medical practitioners here.
Okay, we're going to have 1, 2 more. 1, 2, 3 more, and we out of here. So make them good.
Do you have any idea how long?
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize the sister at all. You have spoken before.
Okay, we're going to get you first. You second. You third since you spoke. Come on.
What I'm curious about is the spaceship that blew up here in the 80s with Mandela on. I can't remember the name of the ship. Challenger. Okay. Was that done by the era of NASA, or was it done by the UFOs?
It was done by the UFOs. But NASA also understood that they were not supposed to launch that ship. And the ship was also not doing what they said they were going to do. They were going to, again, put on some of these copper things that they had put around the Earth twice before. They had a secret mission. That's why they put a black person on. They thought that was going to offset everything. But they were not doing what they said they were going to do. They were told not to do it. They did anyway, so that was that. Okay. Russia lost a ship that way, too, and a female cosmonaut hung in space as they came for her and broadcast exactly what happened. That's why back when they had Cape Kennedy, they changed Cape Kennedy from Cape Canaveral and they're going to beat Russians to the moon. That moon launch, Russia launched 2 weeks before the United States did, but you never heard anything about that. They blew them out of the sky and then picked them up and then took them on off, okay? And they reported that that's why Russia started getting into metaphysical and psychic research, and that's that space program alone. First of all, the United States didn't even go to the moon until about 8 years after they said they did. Then they were taken to the moon by a spaceship, okay, and they used a gyroscopic electromagnetic machine to get there again. I mean, the United States lies so much about it. I don't believe anything this country says, hardly. But the point is, again, that space is not free. Space is patrolled, space is part of God's creatures, and everybody doesn't just traverse from it again. So I say you have to do you cannot believe what you're reading and hearing. That's mind control. You have to do a lot of research and get other alternative means of trying to travel.
Okay, brother.
Yes, you spoke of us really coming together and starting to stick together, and it's my observation that, our foundation as men and women are not even sticking together. I like your observation on that in terms of man's role and woman's role and how that can be strengthened.
Again, if everybody works on self first, everybody can live together because you all have one common thing. If we work and pick apart who else should do what we're not doing, then you can always find fault. The easiest thing is to let everybody else do what you haven't got enough discipline to do, what you won't do, and then pick them apart. If you spend the time working on yourself, they had a thing from the old, the oracles of the Delphi. For man who for those who will search perfection on earth, I suggest they consider this tenet. If each man was perfect within themselves, it'd only be perfection within it, or something on that line. It's self-perfection. Then you can live with anybody.
Yes. Humility is the key. We're so damn arrogant until we can't even accept other people's mistakes. Humility is the key. And to be humble is like the ancient Egyptians would say in the mystery school, is to become as small as the smallest man. And they was talking about that little twa man that was the smallest they considered God for top. So humility is the key also. Is one part.
Okay, is there any?
Okay.
Oh, okay, brother, you were going to say it. I said no. You want to?
When you have any idea how long we will live on Sand Shade for the period of time you come back to the earth or
Supposedly by 2012, we should be able to recycle. Now, as I stated, by my understanding, if this time stream manipulation happens, then we won't even understand time. I can't count time then using any chronological, calendar that we're using now, Julian or Gregorian calendar giving you a time. Time stream messing with is just something that's unthinkable. And they are trying to do this now with the Montauk Project, Philadelphia Experiment, and they've got another one going on there now, where they're actually sending people out into time and messing that up. So as I say, when you get for that, that's why this whole thing has got to end shortly. It's got to be changed because they're not just affecting now this planet, they've gone berserk. They have no spiritual consciousness.
And my beliefs is that the Dogon is under the Syrian, which is a derivative of ancient Kemet. It was under the Syrian. My beliefs is the 97 is one of the key points and stuff, but we need to start now. And also.
Okay, let me say to all of you that I am very grateful, sincerely that because it's a hot summer day, you could be doing many other things, that you've given me this much time. I'm very hopeful that you start to work on yourself, that you'll start to make the contacts directly yourself, that you start to meditate yourself and lift your consciousness. In the meantime, if you can help a brother and sister on that path, do so. But remember, the work still starts at home. I will say this, I'd love to be able to invite it back here in the fall or something to some of the schools who have the money that are spending it for all kind of different reasons. And again, you guys can come around almost for free or maybe for $1 or something like that as a donation because I have a large overhead with my members. That would be something I'd love to have worked on, approach some of these daggone schools to get a speaker down or a lecture down within there again. Either way, may the Creator bless you. It's been my pleasure and thank you very much.
And we will do that. Also on the 14th, we'll go into more of the Syrian thing. We will do that. No, I got to hook up with Clark if I get on them early. We'll have you back several times.
I'll see you in a minute.
Where the baby is.
I'll see you later, Jim.
Okay, man. Okay.
All right.
May not be.
Go ahead.